We all go a little mad sometimes.
Oh, and now Chauncey's box is all...
Yeah, my box is tiny.
Oh, that's what she said.
It's all right. Good things come in small boxes.
It's all right. At least I didn't say it. That's the better part. Oh, so 2019. I don't know if you want to start like at the beginning of the year. Technically, we had a horror movie the first week of the year. I don't know if most of you have seen it or what, but what was it? Escape Room? Panic Room? Escape Room.
Oh, yeah.
Escape Room, yeah.
Escape Room came out in 2019. Technically, it was the first release of 2019. Have we all seen it? Have we not seen it? What's the... All right, Dice, we'll just avoid you for this one.
Yeah. If I know it, I'll raise my hand.
Sounds good.
Chauncey?
Yeah, I saw it. I went to go see it. It was solid. I thought it was fun. I was expecting kind of like the Saw sort of vibe with it, which it totally was. But I mean, just because it's a story's been told before doesn't mean it's like horrible.
Right,
So
right.
that was good. It was a smart movie too. It was a smart one.
Yeah, it wasn't...
In terms of like the puzzles and stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible, especially considering it came out in January, which is usually fodder for horror movies as far as release date. Emily?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was kind of creative. Couple of plot holes, but you could sort of look over them because, you know, the characters were likable enough. It was engaging enough. I liked it.
Felicia?
I reviewed it. I
just go watch that.
Yeah, no, I mean it was a fine movie. I remember thinking that it really relied a lot on the money they put into the rooms and things like that, and a little bit less on like character development.
Oh yeah.
And like I didn't really care about the characters personally. I had that sort of problem. But yeah, I remember being all right. I really liked the upside down room. I thought was really inventive.
That was really neat. Vicky.
Yeah, I was middle of the road. I gave it, according to my letterbox, a 2.5.
Oh, you're so smart. Yeah, like
I had to pull up my list. There's no way I'm gonna remember.
That's literally the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Right in between there.
But yeah, I mean, I liked it. Compared to the past couple of January horror releases, this one rises above a couple of the past ones. So
yeah, it was tolerable. It was quite okay. I don't know if are we counting Glass as a horror?
I hope not, because I didn't watch it.
All right, so let's skip over that one.
It doesn't count.
Happy Death Day to you, comedy sci-fi Dice.
I didn't see that either, but the first one's really good.
Still nothing, Dice?
Continue.
That one, it changed genres.
Yeah.
That's what that was my main problem when I reviewed it. I really enjoyed the first one for what it was. I thought it was new and kind of inventive and innovative. But then the second one, they just tried to do so much, like Back to the Future type stuff. And it just, a lot of the jokes ran for way too long. I just didn't think it was a horror film anymore. And I know it was a big old like storm on Twitter because people were saying, you know, sometimes you just got to go in and why be a critic? But it's like, you know, these cost money.
Yeah.
Like,
It's also why you have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What was that?
Felicia said that's why you have a YouTube channel. You have to critique
Exactly.
it.
No, but I love that girl. I forget her name, but the main actress. I
Trini,
think
yeah.
she's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's
one of
called
those-
it 100%.
Well, the problem is they marketed it as a horror movie, and you can't do that. You can't, you know, swerve the audience and be like, oh, sorry, it's a sci-fi comedy. Hee hee. Emily, your thoughts on H?
I didn't mind the change of genre. It was at least different, and they tried something. I think it's one of those movies, weirdly, where I liked the character of Tree more than the plot she was given, if that makes sense.
Sure, charismatic.
Yeah. I think I'd watch anything if she was in it. But
Oh, so you like the actress?
she did a good job. She was likable.
Yeah, she carried it for sure. She was like she carried that film. Unfortunately, you know, it just wasn't horror. So
Yeah, they're almost certainly getting a third one too. So I hope they just go.
Are they?
No, I mean, it made money, right? Didn't it?
Did it?
It
No.
didn't?
Not as much as not as much as
The first one.
Yeah, because I remember the creator was on Twitter and he was saying like there was rumors and he said so far that hasn't because the second one didn't do as well.
Well, then why did he dick around at the end of that with that weird Back to the Future? Hey, this could be 4 movies ending.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Because people, you know, they write scripts with hope. It's hope. It's optimism.
Remember when they used to make movies that were just contained to one story, and it was like, hey, here's an ending. We're gonna end the movie because that's the end of the movie. Remember those days? Because I don't.
Yeah, what movie was that?
Years ago, back when I was a wee lad. Vicky.
Yeah, I mean, I rated it high. I mean, obviously, as a horror, it's not like everybody's saying it's not a horror movie. They definitely did a switch on you, but I'm with Emily, like Jessica Roth. That's true. She sells it. Like, yeah, she sells it 100%. I have to remember her name. She was so good. So I thought it was good for what it was. It just wasn't a horror.
Sure.
I liked it. Yeah.
I just wish they presented it as such. Like they had all these jump scares. They found all the little. I could hear myself echoing in the background. That's crazy. They had like the trailers were all making it seem like a horror movie, and it's just it kind of not.
That was my issue with the Babadook.
Oh, really? Did you not like it?
I know this is not of our topic.
No, you have
finally
have a chance to talk, so go ahead.
I know.
Wait, you don't like the Babadook?
Well, it's not necessarily that I don't like it. It's just the first time that I saw it, I think the trailer marketed it as like a monster movie, and it's more of a psychological. And I get what it's about, and that's great. It's just I think the trailer kind of gave me the wrong idea, and thus I felt like it was unsatisfying.
That was Midsommar for me, although we'll get to that. But yeah.
Why do trailers always lie to us?
Yeah, to get your money.
They want our money.
Yeah.
Capitalism.
So next on the grand scale, Us. Hey, you got one, guys.
I needed to watch that, otherwise I was going to be shunned. I was going to be kicked out of the group. Wasn't going to be good.
And thoughts?
Yeah, I rather liked it. I had seen, of course, Get Out with my family, so I was looking forward to seeing what Jordan Peele did with this one, and it was creepier than I thought it was going to be. So props for that. I guess the concept of out there somewhere there could be some sort of evil clone of you that wants to kill you because you got all the good shit is not a good thing.
Chauncey.
I think we talked
Yeah,
about it before.
this is
I
the
think
one
we did a
time we've
group
talked
thing,
before.
and
Yeah.
yes, and we talked about the one time before, and I didn't think it was. I thought it was solid. I think it was definitely a above average type horror picture. I just didn't think it was as pointed as Get Out was, and I felt like he tried to do a lot. And it was one of those movies where I hate when people tell me, oh, you just got to watch it a second time or a third time to really get it. And I'm just like, no, if you tell the story right, the first time I will at least enjoy it enough. If I want to get some Easter eggs later on, fine. But he threw so much out there that it was like, oh, you get that part. And then I felt like, and I watched it in a theater with people. And so people were laughing at certain things that I didn't think was funny. But because he set that tone of humor in sometimes the weirdest places, people didn't have a choice but to laugh at stuff. And I'm like, that's not funny. This guy's getting stabbed right now. I don't know. I don't know. I think he tried something, but.
Yeah, no, it was pretty ambitious, and I'd rather ambitious than not, I guess, is the best way to put it, especially in horror.
Yes.
And Bo.
Yeah, I think Chauncey nailed it. I think the setting the tone, a lot of comedy where perhaps it, I don't know, steamrolled over what the rest of what was happening in the scene. He does leave a lot in there that you could choose to look into and think it has some higher meaning or symbolism, or you could, take or leave it. I believe Ari Aster, nothing he does in his films is by accident, but with Jordan Peele's stuff so far, I'm not so sure. It's interesting.
Oh, he's got something to say. I'm just, not.
I don't know how much of it is intentional, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Felicia?
I have actually the opposite opinion, maybe. I think so. The way I like to talk about this is it's really hard to make a follow-up film, right? That's super hard when you put out something that everybody fucking loves, everyone thinks it's the best movie ever made, and then you have to make a second movie. That's really hard, right? And so what I think he did is, which was really brave of him, was to go big, right? Open up the world, not just take place in one specific. It's so much bigger than one dude and one family, like Get Out was. And so, yeah, there's a lot in there. And so I appreciate the ambition. And that I also really like, because the dude comes from a comedy background. So I really appreciate that he puts so much of what he is in his movies. And so it's really funny, right? And I personally don't mind laughing when someone gets stabbed. I don't mind. I kind of enjoy that. But then the moments that he puts in that are... Because, yeah, even some of the murder in it, I think, is funny. When the twins, the whole, what's the family's house? The white family?
The Siri? Whatever.
Yeah, their big murder scene I found extremely funny. You have that weird, it's like a Beach Boys song playing, and all that stuff, which I think is really great. But then he also has got these moments, particularly, I think, when, the Shadow family first appears, and they're doing all this really weird, physical stuff that is so not of American horror films. And I was just like, fuck, yes. And so I feel like he just threw a bunch of shit at the wall, but I actually appreciated it all. I wasn't really bothered by it.
There's a bit of a punchline to that white family scene where she's trying to call the cops and it plays "fuck the police" instead, which is...
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Vicky.
I'm kind of with Felicia on this
Oh,
one. I
debate.
really liked it. It's at the top of my list so far.
It is at the top? Did you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This one's at the top of mine so far. Again, I think a lot of people too, I was judging it based on the success of Get Out 2, which I think most people were going to see it because Get Out was such a loved movie when it came out in 2017 that this one was so anticipated when it was announced. And I don't know, I was completely satisfied. Everything that I was expecting just after seeing one movie, after seeing Get Out, was in it. So I don't know, I appreciated it. I thought it was one that's yes, I think you probably can get some other messages, sure, if you watch it multiple times, but I thought it was straightforward enough. If you just watch it the one time, you get what's being said. I think it was fairly straightforward.
Did anybody watch it a second time?
No, I have it. I need to because I want to watch the special features. I
they're really good. They do have a special feature about that white families, like how they shot it. It's all in one shot. It's really neat how they did it behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's so.
Yeah, it's definitely check it out. It's like 10 minutes, I think. But did anybody get the class subtext in Us?
Oh yeah, it was more class than racial,
Right.
for sure.
Totally,
I mean,
100%.
he was dealing with American politics and the idea of the class society more than the racial. And he said that, originally with Get Out, he said Get Out was a documentary. That was his quip about it. And with this one, he said it was a horror picture, but it was more so within that, it was the themes of what does America mean to certain people, like that part where Lupita's character says, we are
Americans, yeah.
And it's like, what does that mean exactly? I don't know. I mean, sometimes with stuff like that, I'm like, oh, he's trying to be deep right now. But then I was like, no, I get it. I get what you're doing. That's cool. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, it was totally a class, the class divide of situations and putting like what horror tends to do, which puts a warped mirror to society, or a regular mirror to society, to show us how warped it can be. So.
Yeah.
Chauncey, how important is it that Jordan Peele is successful in the genre?
I think it's really important. I mean, just like him having, we say that, he has the comedic background, but even in Key and Peele, even in that show, he would have horror skits that had comedy within it. So he's always been a horror fan, and he says that and I think it shows that with what he can insert in it, because I know it was controversial. He came out, a few months ago, where he was saying that he won't ever make a movie where a white guy is the lead. Yeah. And everyone was like, oh, if a white guy said that, I'm like, they don't have to say it sometimes, because that's usually sometimes who is the lead. So I think, there's a lot of horror fans of color out there and stuff. And I think just showing that you can make a movie that's universal, because that was the other thing about Us that I did like, that family was a universal family. It wasn't just a black family, it was a universal family, but you could have it so that they were represented by not the normal default of white, because sometimes we think of that as the default. That doesn't stand out to us, but when a family's black or Latino or Asian, it's like, oh, the black family. But I think what he did, he said this is a regular family, and I think he's normalizing that, which is it's great. It's great in horror. I mean, I'm not always ready to go to a movie and want to watch people who look like me die, but I think it's good that we're there. So,
is the genre in capable hands? I mean, it seems like anytime he touches something now, it's like, Jordan Peele has saved such and such, like Candyman. He's producing it. He's not directing it. He's producing it, and people are talking about Candyman is saved, and I didn't know it needed saving.
I think someone in the chat said it best. Sometimes people think of him like he's the second coming a little bit. They do the same thing with Ari, too.
Oh, we'll get to him.
Oh, yeah.
Wait. What? So, wait, I have a big blank here is there anything in March? There was nothing in March. Oh.
I think Us was March.
Yeah, so there's another one in April. Pet Sematary 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that was that.
Yeah. Well, wait, your turn. Dice, you saw this one?
Yes, I actually did. I saw it pretty early on, actually. And that was because, for whatever reason, I got into this whole, I want to watch Pet Sematary and read the book and see the remake. I was with that. So I'd seen the original quite a while ago, and I started reading the book, and I watched the remake kind of in between. And I really prefer the original. I love 80s, but I saw the remake, and there were a few issues I had. The actors, cool, all right, nice, but I don't really think that they could have done a great job with the character of Judd no matter what. But he came off really creepy in the remake, and that's not what Judd is supposed to be.
You don't mean horror creepy, you mean touching little kids creepy.
Like as in, get away from me.
Yeah, I got that vibe too. Chauncey?
I thought it was okay. I understand. I know they like let it out early on that they switched to the daughter, and because they wanted it to resonate a bit more and she could talk and stuff. I thought the little boy was a lot more creepy than the little girl for one. And I don't know, that ending, and I think I said I was like it reminded me of like Tales from the Crypt type ending. You know, like how a TV movie like, oh, here's a, you know, it's kind of ironic what's about to happen. And I'm like, you could have just kept what it was before. I thought there was something so much more sinister about the thing with the wife coming back and just him still wanting to do that. I thought that was way more sinister than this idea of the whole family, and now they're going to kill the kid too. Yeah. Like, or what's kid, right? It's like, all right, okay.
Emily.
Okay, so I think it had its good moments. The whole idea of switching out which kid it was, I kind of like, because this is an older child, and so she's going to have some thoughts on the matter. You know, obviously, creepy little kids is its own subgenre of horror, I think. But the fact that she could reason and realize she was dead, and I thought that was kind of interesting. I just wish they'd done a little more with it.
They stuck with that for about 45 seconds. It said, "Fuck this, we're going somewhere else with this."
And I do miss Judd. I think
Fred Gwynn,
whoever they got. Yeah, I miss him.
Well, yeah, I mean,
he kind of made the last movie.
And why am I forgetting this actor's name? What he's a big time actor. What the fuck? Who played Judd in this?
I can't remember.
What's his name? Holy shit!
It's a mess.
Are we all blank?
I'm going.
John Lithgow. John Lithgow.
I'm so bad with actor names.
Samuel?
No. It's
oh yeah, John Lithgow. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Third Rock from the Sun. John.
So he's a capable actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff, as you could clearly see. How quickly we got his name, but
he has face validity.
Right.
You believe he's an old man who's seen some things in his day, but he's not quite the same character as
right.
There's no warmth.
There's no main accent. That damn rod.
Yeah, that main accent is its own character.
Felicia, go ahead, air it out.
Yeah. So the thing about Pet Sematary to me is like, even the original, the thing that's scary about the movie is like the real life stuff that happens, like a kid dying, getting hit on that road. Like that's the scary thing about the movie, the real life stuff going on. The Pet Sematary itself, the like Indian burial ground, like all that stuff is like so cheesy to me. It's very like that particular time in Stephen King, and in the original, like obviously, like I didn't watch it when it first came out. I wasn't like alive yet, but it was when I watch it now, it's like it's super cheesy. So the things that work about it is the fact that this tiny little boy dies and like the grieving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, without the 80s cheese as this thing that I can lean on and be like, oh, that 80s cheese, that silly cat. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to make this realistic Pet Sematary. Just felt like it wasn't working. And then my biggest, this is like a dumb issue to have maybe, but they filmed it on location and it looks like it's filmed on a soundstage. They have all this like stupid fog everywhere, everywhere in the woods. All this fog, and I'm just like, these are actual woods. Like they don't look like woods. They look like you built woods. I don't know. But one scene I loved in the movie that I thought was like hilarious and strange is the scene where the little girl is dead and she's just dancing around the living room doing her ballet. Yeah. That is my favorite scene. I don't know why it's in the movie, but it's my favorite scene.
Yeah. You get the feeling that they had extra stuff intended, like. At least I hope so, because that whole father-daughter thing where like the morning after, like I guess I just hoped they would have done something extra with that, but it just seemed like they were like, fuck it, never mind, let's just get to the ending real quick, because the third act is just so fast, it just goes so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And Zelda wasn't even scary in this one.
Yeah.
And Zelda is the whole horror aspect.
Yeah.
And why every kid that watched that movie growing up is terrified of Pet Cemeteries because Zelda. And this one, it's just like.
Yep, they dropped the ball.
The dumbwaiter thing was kind of scary.
Sort of. It was a jump scare. The dumbwaiter, the thing in the.
Oh yeah, that's okay. It scared me.
Yeah. The horror of hearing your sister tumble down the thing and being like,
that wasn't good.
I think there's more than a sandwich in there.
That was kind of my issue too with that. I mean, there were two big issues I realized that I had with this remake.
Okay.
One was Zelda, and the way they did that took away the guilt that her sister Rachel
Well,
had.
she still had guilt because she was supposed to bring the food up to her.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, no, you're
But
right.
I mean, Zelda was
Because
choking earlier.
Zelda did go to the. I mean, I don't know how Zelda got into the dumbwaiter to begin with, but I yeah. All right, I take back my rebuttal. You're right.
But the ending also took away
Everything.
just. Well, yeah, it took away the descent into madness for the lead character. It was just like, and he's dead. What?
That's what I'm saying. The third act is just like, whoa, can we just take a second with one of these things, which is just doesn't happen. Like, and this happens, and now this person did. Whoa, okay. Hey, Vicky, you haven't said anything yet. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm loving the discussion. This one, I mean, I thought was okay. I watched the original kind of late, I guess. Like, I think I first saw it like maybe like a year-ish before the remake came out. I know I was really late to the game, so I didn't have like the, you know, like growing up seeing Zelda sort of connection that I know a lot of people
I feel really
have
old because I saw that in the theater. My mom took me. I was way too young to see that, but I saw that in the theater.
I always thought that was a TV movie. Okay, because that's how I saw it. I always thought it was a TV movie. Never mind.
Making grandpa sad.
I didn't know it came out.
It kind of looks like a TV movie to be
Right,
so
no,
real
that's
with you.
what I
It
thought.
really
I
does.
was because it was a TV miniseries. So I was like, oh, that was back when they were doing TV miniseries too. Like,
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
I still want to see the Langoliers all the way through. That looks wild.
oh yeah.
Good luck.
Vicky.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought it like by itself it was okay, but as a remake, I feel like it kind of like regressed. Like everyone kind of already talked about it. Like, I mean, the mark of a good remake is taking like the soul of the original, but like updating it, you know, and saying something maybe a little bit different or saying something more. But it felt like it regressed maybe, or like the original would have meant to be the remake, where I feel like it said more about death and grieving and the afterlife and what happens to us when we die, and the remake was like the most like shallow, like 5 inches deep version of that. Like it, like I don't know, it was just like disappointing when you watch it compared to the original. By itself, it's just like your run of the mill jump scare horror movie.
So as some
Like even how he connects to the patient, the guy who dies. That was it was like all of a sudden he dies, and it's like, oh, you know, I'm like, okay, I guess I don't know. Did you know this guy before? No, okay, cool. And then it's like he's leading him in the woods, and it's like, don't go, da da da. And then I think that was all we saw of him really. And I think he was supposed to be a warning of some sort, like supposed to be helping him. I
Friendly
didn't
ghost.
get that much of a like a. I don't know,
A connection
guardian,
kind of thing.
guardian vibe or some sort from this particular movie. And I was like, okay.
yeah.
Victor was a huge disappointment for me in the remake. Victor's my favorite, so
Apparently they took liberties with him in the movie. So as the person who's been with this movie the longest, I guess I'll sit you young ladies down. So before Ari Aster, Pet Sematary was the like, for me at least, Pet Sematary felt like the movie that totally got grief and guilt and just the miserable feeling of death, and like just that funeral scene, which they didn't even replicate that scene where the kid's coffin gets knocked over and like it's just everybody's crying and just I'm telling you, it's prehistoric Toni Collette in Hereditary, that scene. But like you said, 80s cheese, it was ahead of its time, and they just didn't even cover any of that shit. A lot of the mood of that movie was just left decades ago. You kids don't know movies.
I like the 80s. I wasn't there,
day.
but I like them.
Yeah.
I think Pet Sematary was the first movie we watched together. It was on Skype.
Aw.
Or just we, synced up or something. But I think that was the
Leave
first
our
one.
Skype calls out of this, Emily. Wait, so did anybody see Pet Graveyard, which is a uncorked film?
No.
I got sent that.
Yeah, we did
like,
too.
And I actually was very interested.
Nope.
I never got around
Good
to
for you.
it.
Save 90 minutes.
Sad.
Okay.
So Emily and I saw it as a goof, and it is not. So I don't know if you guys know Uncorked Entertainment, but they're they're behind the many Krampus bootleg films that come out every year. They just jump on a title and kind of.
They make fantastic movie posters.
Yeah.
You can't fault them on their posters.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That always gets me.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Pet Graveyard is essentially Flatliners, but with no budget.
That's
no
what
Pet
it
Graveyard.
seemed like. It seemed like that. I was interested because of the new spin on the cat. Because you know
Forget
they
the
had
cat.
like the cat.
Just forget the cat. The
cat is
yeah,
super
yeah. The
effective.
Pet Graveyard is where they go to do their Flatliner shit in a cave, and it just happens to be behind a pet graveyard. There's nothing about. Yeah,
Wow.
they just milked the title, and I don't.
Yeah,
Are
where
they the
did they
ones
got that
doing-
from?
I was gonna ask, are they the ones doing Velcro priest? I keep get sent this thing about a priest who also can turn into a dinosaur.
Oh, that's
Oh, I've
Velocipaster.
heard of that.
Velcro
Velocipastors is what it's called.
Velocipastor. I've got to watch that. I gotta watch that.
For nothing
I'm
else, we
interested.
must watch it to laugh.
Oh my god.
Great premise. A raptor who is also a priest. Emily, did you want to say anything about Pet Graveyard before we move on to real movies?
I have a script for it. I was going to review it eventually, but I guess I didn't get around to it.
I guess not.
Yeah, it wasn't very
No,
good.
no.
That's all I have to say.
It's there's much better things you can do with your 90 minutes. That's for certain. And that's why we don't get sent stuff by Uncorked anymore. So, I wonder why.
We pissed off one of the directors once. So.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. And then
If I don't like usually, I just don't say anything sometimes. Sometimes I do if I'm interested and I've told people about it, but sometimes I'm just like, ND, I don't want to, I don't know, feel kind of
That's
weird.
fair.
Like, their life is hard right now anyway. I don't need to.
Yeah, and like, I don't need to rag on them.
yeah,
It's probably wise.
yeah. You guys are smart. So what do I have? June. Ari finally comes through. Midsommar.
Yeah.
Dice. We're gonna skip you this time, I'm assuming.
Mhm.
Dice. My uncle has it, so you can get on that.
Oh yeah, no, I know it's available,
Yeah.
but I ran out of time.
That's fine.
I will watch it eventually.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. On the revisited, we'll get back to you on this. Chauncey, Midsommar.
Oh, you want to start with me on
Oh,
that? Because I hate it.
Okay.
I hate
All right.
that
Good.
film.
Good.
Whoa!
I absolutely hated it.
Go on.
Because and I will preface this by saying I didn't like Hereditary
Ooh,
either.
okay.
I don't really like this guy. I think he has. I mean, I think a little bit is maybe my bias in that his stuff is just so depressing sometimes that he has no hope. It's like his storylines have no hope for humanity to me. It's just like all downhill from here, the way he presents stories. And I kind of like going on a journey with the character to think that there's a little bit of hope, even if it ends badly. And I just think he has a tendency to, and that comes from his first film that he did, that short thing that he did with the family and the incest and stuff that was going on.
I haven't seen that.
guess I should have known from that. Well, yeah, it was a whole thing where the son was like, having sex with the father and all this other
My
stuff.
kind of
so
movie.
this is his thing. And so Midsummer, once again, just like Hereditary, the acting was phenomenal. I really loved the acting. Everyone brought it with that regard. Once again, though, I felt like all the characters were insufferable to me. And it's one of those things, I don't need to like every character, but I do need to wonder why anybody is even connected to each other. Like, to me, that group of friends, I would have never believed that they were really friends. And that it was just kind of like these insufferable people kind of meshing together to show how insufferable they are. And then there were just moments I thought that drew out really just way too long. I mean, the score was great, but it was kind of like, I already know this person's about to jump down here. Let's get to that point it's a build up. So this is so artistic.
Yeah.
This is so artistic. And then he's like flipping the camera and you're seeing like the android over the car. And I'm just like, I'm not going to say what I told my friends after I said it, but like just with some of the director things he was doing, it was like, I literally said, next time, just pull your dick out in front of the camera. Like, just do that. Like, I'm such a great director. I know how to do weird angles.
Oh yeah. There's
and
definitely
shit.
auteur
Like,
theory in this.
yeah, it's like, come on, just tell the story. I think if you take, and it was a story we've been told so much before, I think, and once again, no story's ever not been told. And I think if you're going to tell it, do it in a more unique way. And I didn't feel that. And I got told many times when it came out, and I said what I said. People were like, "It's an experience. It's about the experience." I'm like, okay, but I think you also need to have a real story. That's just me.
Good for you, Chauncey.
I couldn't stand it.
Yeah,
I told myself, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a third movie in the theater with this
Ari
guy.
Aster hates life. That's essentially what it comes down to.
He does. He has no joy.
Yeah, we just rewatched it last night, which leads me to Emily. Emily.
Right. Well, yeah, kind of pretentious. That's his thing. I think sometimes pretension can be done in a good way if it serves to, make something anyone can
Look
enjoy.
where it got M. Night.
Yeah, the film is quite self-indulgent in what it does. I don't know. It had an odd effect. Well, I feel like Hereditary was a lot more dour and nihilistic. This one, maybe just because of the constant rustic music, I felt like I was being hypnotized and kind of soothed for quite a lot of the movie, in spite of some of the horrible things that were going on.
Subverted with the constant daylight and stuff. Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know what Ari Aster has going on at home, but he really nails the feeling of, I don't know, being mentally ill, being anxious and lost in another culture and, I don't know, clingy, dependent on someone else, constantly falling apart at the seams. He really gets that. And I think Florence Pugh did a great job with it, probably why he picked her. So those were some aspects that I liked. Is there anything else? Mine's going.
It kind of goes to what Chauncey was talking about, though, because even her character, it's just like, what are you doing going with this guy? I mean, I guess because we know what he's doing, like that he's just dragging her along in the first act. That you don't want her to go with him, and you kind of resent her for doing that. And
her friends are despicable. They're not quite as despicable as like Eli Roth's characters, which I think he just makes them that horrible so that they can be monster fodder or whatever. At least there's some, a little bright spot at the end where Danny has kind of found a community, at least. Someone better than her horrible friends, even if they are a murder-happy cult. I don't
Ben
know.
Grimm says in the chat, Ari loves the ugly cry and penis, and that we've seen that twice. So yeah, just fucking just terrible.
Everyone's screaming. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, you could cut those scenes down. Felicia.
I fucking love Midsummer.
All right, well, counterbalance. Go on.
I loved every second of that movie.
Every second?
Yes, right. I love that it was fucking 3 hours. I'm all about it. I know that's not for everyone, but I just thought I love that he. Okay, yes, he does a lot of artsy fartsy shit, and he's like trying to be a very important film director, but also he knows his shit, right? So it's not, for me, like the pretentiousness is like, I can totally understand where that's coming from for people, but also I think everything he's doing so well that I can't really see that. And for me, he is just addressing stuff of the everyday that I feel like I have not seen accurately expressed in films before. Like the fact that like so much of this movie is like a breakup movie, right? Of like a relationship ending, a relationship that probably should have ended before the movie started, right? And I think particularly like that first phone call that they have where it's just, that really awkward phone call where she's like calling the boyfriend and there's all this like awkward silence and she keeps being like, well, okay, like, I guess I'll see you tonight. Like, it's just like, fuck, like we've all had that horrible, weird conversation where you're like, I think we might hate each other, but we desperately need someone to be with right now. So like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. So I think he addresses things like that really well. I think, and then that character's journey into finding empathy and finding her, as the one character says, like, he says like, does your boyfriend make you feel like you're home, like when you're with him, does it feel like home? And even though she finds that in a cult, which I would not recommend to anybody, like she does to most people,
read
but
the
like,
fine print.
Yeah, but she finds people that can be that for her, and that can experience emotion with her, and I just think it's fucking beautiful. And And I didn't mind that she killed her boyfriend at the end. I thought it was that was just fun. I didn't think it was
fuck
supposed to be.
Yeah.
A lot of people. It's so funny on my video on that. I have so many dudes that are just like, she's expected too much from him. How dare she kill him? And I'm like, it's a horror movie. Like anyone can get killed. Like I don't think that was actually a big political statement. I think that was just like
when she like started apologizing to him in that scene where I forgot what the fuck they had a fight or something
for not telling her
yeah about the
he was
trip,
going to sleep.
and then she ended up apologizing. I was like I've been here, please stop doing that, like enough with this scene already.
I thought she was insufferable too,
yeah
though. I didn't like her.
If only for you want
which is okay. She is not a perfect character by any means, which I think is really helpful. Because she's not like, you don't have to feel bad for her the whole time. It's mostly just like feeling bad for like people, like how we have to like go through life like this. But anyways, I don't know. I really loved it.
Vicky?
I could say more, but
we'll round it up when Vicky's done.
Yeah.
I also really loved
Okay,
it.
see, there you go. Double down.
I feel like it's been 2 and 2.
I know.
Like,
A wild card, and then I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'm just in the middle. No, don't fight.
No, I also really loved it. And I mean, I'm the same with Felicia and all of you. He does have a distinctive style that he's going for. I kind of see him as like his style, like, I don't know, I might get hate for this or something, but like, you know, like Rob Zombie's movies has like always a distinctive style, and he always goes for that distinctive style, and some people either love it or hate it. But it's like, it's what he wants to do as a director. I just feel like that's the same thing that Ari Aster is doing. Like he has, although we only have 2 movies to judge off of so far, but he has like a style that he wants to go for, and he's just gonna do that. So I don't know, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with Rob Zombie doing that too. Like, you know, they're the ones making the movie. If that's what they want to make,
you can't validate your argument when you bring Rob Zombie into the conversation. I'm sorry.
Dude, I fucking love Rob Zombie.
Nope.
Best example
I
I
love
could
Rob
think
Zombie.
of. I'm sorry.
Ari Aster and Rob Zombie. Ugh.
I'm not saying that.
Ugh.
The next collab.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Oh, can you imagine?
No, that was gonna backfire.
I'm sorry, Vicky. Go ahead.
I'm with you.
Sorry, go on.
No, you're okay. But I'm fine with it. I think he like that. Like it's just his aim. Like he knows what he wants to make, and that's what he's gonna make. So I'm ultimately fine with that. I think it worked. Emily, I really love what you said. Like you felt like you were kind of being like carried along through the movie in like a daze almost for some of it, which I personally thought was kind of the point, because there is a lot of like drug use in that movie, of course, and people,
the drinks, the mushrooms, all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it, and I think that's an integral part of like folk horror, which this movie is kind of pulling from, like, you know, everyone relates.
Wicker Man, absolutely.
I feel like that's kind of the point of those folk horrors, to you're kind of being drifted along in this world that you have never been in before, because we're very much in the character shoes where we've never been in a place like this before. I just loved it. I thought stylistically it was great. I loved the daylight like 100% of the time. And even the trailer kind of tried to throw you off. You could tell they darkened some scenes to make it seem like there was going to be some nighttime scenes. And then the whole time, you just don't know what's going to happen, and because it's daylight the whole time. And so it totally throws off your expectations of, I no longer know what's going to happen, because like regular horror movie conventions, or at least these ones, are being thrown out. Like, so I don't know what's going to happen anymore. So I don't know. I loved it.
How did you guys feel? What's your overall take on was it Pele? What's the guy who's from
Pele.
there that took them?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
I think it's Pele.
A little shady. What do you think his motives were?
To serve the cult, probably. He reminded me of the, I don't remember her name in the Wicker Man. The remake, where she lures him to the island. Like, that's kind of just like his purpose. Like, his job is to lure people to there.
So you think he was drawing Florence Pugh's character to, because it seems like he warmed up to her once she said she was coming.
Yeah, I feel like he was trying to relate to her with the "I lost my
Right.
parents too," but it got a little bit insidious when he was like, "Does your boyfriend feel like home?
Mm.
Do you trust your friends? Maybe not." That seemed.
I actually, his character, I feel like it's like both ways. I think, yes, he was absolutely trying to lure her there, but I think he ultimately saw what she was dealing with and was actually trying to help her and was like, I know a place for you where you don't have to feel like this anymore. And even though it was a really fucked up thing to do, to like take her to a cult, I think I think his intentions were good because he saw this person that had a clear need that he was trying to fill. But then ultimately he's like also manipulating her. So
yeah, I think from the jump he knew where all this was heading to, and he thought she'd be a perfect person, and she was, because she was such a lost soul and dealing with what she was dealing with. Yeah. I was gonna say about the whole thing. I don't actually like the way he uses mental illness in his stuff. I think he relies on it too much. I think he has a tendency to, that's the reason why she killed her parents or something like that. There are plenty of people who have mental illnesses and don't do the things that they do. I think my issue with that was that I feel like sometimes, especially with Hereditary and this to a certain degree, that he kind of reinforces a little bit of the stigma sometimes.
That's a good point.
And I think I find that a little lazy when that's done in movies, but
that's fair.
One more thing I just want to throw out about this movie and going back to Us for a sec is that I think the great thing about Ari Aster and Jordan Peele, and like even though people are sort of bowing down to them in this way that is a little weird, the thing that's exciting about them is that they are bringing in non-horror audiences to see these movies, which I have never seen before. Like I have friends, like most of my friends that like horror are on the internet. A lot of my real life friends are not super interested. And, but they've all seen Us. They all saw Midsummer. They all saw Get Out. They all saw Hereditary, because it's like, yes, they are horror movies, but they're like, I hate when people, I don't even hate it. People are using like the word like elevated horror. Some people think that's a shitty thing. I'm sort of like, who cares? But it is this thing that is exciting because it's sort of cross-genering audience or something, which I think is cool because it makes more horror movies get made, which is good
absolutely
for us.
Do you think that I mean, you're giving credit to Jordan Peele and Ari Aster. Do you think maybe films like It Follows and The Babadook maybe set the precedent for the elevated horror, like you said, this indie A24 subgenre of horror? So
A24, man. But honestly, yeah, like I mean, now that you mention it, like The Babadook specifically, I remember being one of the first ones where like non-horror people were asking me if I'd seen it, and I was like, how do you even know about this? Which is like, it's just cool. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a subverted take on horror. It's more like, parenting sucks and here's how.
Yeah, a little bit more introspective.
Sure.
I do think, sometimes with that though, like with the whole elevated horror thing, my thing was that then previous horror doesn't get sometimes that credit that it does for digging deeper. Like George Romero's, Night of the Living Dead, his first, it was about race. It was about gender. They Live, John Carpenter's They Live. It was about class. It was about Reaganomics. There's so many other films before that, and like hopefully, like, what was being said was that this opens people to go dig for those too. Because one of the reasons why I was initially drawn to horror was because I felt like it was the only genre I could find where those themes were allowed to kind of be explored and not censored as much, because you can usually fool people in the sense that if they weren't looking for that, maybe they won't see it. But there were a lot of creators that would dig deeper into those things, I thought, than regular slasher. So hopefully people can, at least that will get people to watch the other stuff too.
Totally.
That's a hell of a segue, because we have another major release in June, and it's a slasher. Child's Play's remake came out in June.
Dice, have you seen this one?
Oh, right.
Should we do something that Dice has seen? Just so they can talk for a little bit.
Have you seen?
Well, actually, 4.
What have you seen, Dial? We'll steer it in your direction.
I've seen the Pet Sematary remake. I have seen The Wind. I have
The Wind.
seen,
I might be
and
the only other person who's seen it.
and Us.
All right, so discuss The Wind, and Vicky can back you up. Or don't.
Discuss The Wind. Oh, The Wind. Okay. Sorry, cut out a moment. I was like, what? What are we discussing? I mean, sure.
The Wind.
Yes, let me see The Wind. That was interesting, I have to say. That one was, it kind of actually goes along with the whole Babadook, and it follows the elevated horror. And it's also kind of interesting that it took Little House on the Prairie and said, now demons. But it's kind of about isolation, really, and that was actually kind of freaky to me, because I'm very much the type of person to where if you put me out in a prairie setting, I'm like, oh God, there's nothing here. So I can understand the main character and how it could be very confusing to see what actually was happening, what maybe was all in her head, what really didn't happen and never did. So that was very interesting. It was very so I appreciate it for that.
Vicky.
Yeah. What Dice said. I thought this one was it was a nice little one. I feel like not everyone is talking about it, but it's a nice like female driven horror that's definitely an interesting setting. Like Dice said, it is very like Little House on the Prairie. It's demons. It's like this like Western frontier 1800s sort of
one of those
thing. Yeah, and you have this couple and it's just them by themselves, and there's like a whole like backstory with like these like neighbors who obviously aren't really neighbors because they're quite far away, and it has a lot of different like facets to it. There's like the isolation aspect, there is demons, if that's how you want to interpret it. I feel like the movie leaves it fairly open, like you can see it that way, you cannot see it that way, and it's got even like the loss of a child as well with our main character movie. And it's got layers. It's a very happy movie, let me tell you.
That sounds quite bleak. Is that the tone that it kind of has?
It is, really. I mean, even when I was little and I would watch Little House on the Prairie, I thought that was depressing. So it is kind of that same vein of you're alone out there. You've lost your first child. Your neighbors are now not there anymore, and your husband's off who knows where, and will he come back? What's real? You know, it's really that kind of thing. If you're looking for an upbeat thing, this isn't it.
Midsommar.
I'm
double
imagining something like The Road, or that. That's all I'm imagining, because I haven't seen this.
Oh.
I recommend it, though. I mean, if
sounds
right
gorgeous.
Frame of mind, you know, hey, not on a bad day, but
just I can be depressed now.
I can take a little bit of a mental beating, sure.
All right, so Dice, sit tight for 2. We're going to do 2 more, and then we'll switch subjects. So Child's Play 2019. Chauncey.
I turned it off halfway through, not because let me say it was making me so sad.
What?
Like I know it sounds weird. It was like the way Chucky was being, he was basically like a toy that was, you know, something was wrong with him.
Yeah.
And it was like
Walking virus.
He couldn't help it.
couldn't help it. Like, you know, in the original, it was a killer who went into a body. It was a voodoo thing. With this one, he just didn't know any better. And he's like staring at him like, you're my friend, you know, and he's just attached. And I was like, this is making me sad. I can't enjoy this because I know where it's going. And it's like literally like something like with a special child or something. I was like, no. I
watched Texas Chainsaw 2. Like, what's he supposed to do?
I just couldn't. I was like, it was just a downer. I was like, no, I don't think this is the intended result. I couldn't.
Even with the terrible parenting as a bit of a backdrop for all that?
I don't know. No, it just made me sad because I knew where it was going. I knew he would be the villain in the end. I was like, I don't believe that.
Okay.
You know, because it was like he was malfunctioned.
Sure, absolutely.
He was wasn't a voodoo guy. They should have kept. If they kept the voodoo thing, I would have went with it. I was so excited for Mark Hamill voice. I love him when he does his voice. I love him as Joker. All of that. So I was excited. But then him doing the voice so sad, I was like, I can't. I just cannot. I honestly turned it off. I will admit, I did not sit through the whole Child's Play.
All right, Emily.
It was okay. I think if it was a Black Mirror standalone episode, it could have worked quite well, because that's the kind of thing it deals with. It's a technological entity that has gone sour, and I don't know. But I feel like Chucky is less of a character in this one. He is more of a defective product and less of a evil satanic voodoo serial killer with Brad Dourif's voice. But I thought it was interesting, the kind of conundrum of how responsible Andy was for, turning him into a psychopath, whatever you want to call it.
Because Andy was feeding him.
He was a kid who made some mistakes.
Telling him that this is for Tupac and all that other shit. That wasn't Andy who said that.
That was the other kid. But
it's just.
I got the biggest laugh in the theater that time we saw it. I think.
Felicia.
I totally agree. Like, great Black Mirror episode. I like the concept of the movie itself, but it is, for me, not a Child's Play movie at all. It doesn't feel like that. It's not what I want going in. I found it a little, this is like being dramatic. I'm being dramatic about it, but I found it like a little disrespectful because like they let all the people that created Chucky just were like kicked out of this process.
Oh.
And I don't think that's really cool, but and yeah, when I go in to see a Chucky movie, like, I want to see some really stupid shit and funny stuff, and like I want like a villain that is because the thing about Chucky is he plays with his victims. He's mean to them. He's nasty. He's like Freddy Krueger, right? He's like and that's what makes that character fun. And in this one, I totally agree. It was just it was sad. I'm with you on that. And it just, it didn't feel like a Child's Play movie to me.
Okay. Vicky.
Yeah, I just thought it was okay. I was never I've seen all the Child's Play movies. I never really connected with them that much, but I feel like it changed enough to be like a solid enough remake. The whole technology is everywhere and it can affect our whole lives if it goes evil, sort of thing, is topical and very Black Mirror, and that was fine. But yeah, it was just okay. I've never really liked scary doll movies though either. They just don't scare me. But I do understand what everyone's saying though, of a more voodoo aspect. Has the soul of a serial killer, makes it scarier because it's from a real person. And I loved what Chauncey said about she felt bad. I love the empathy of that. I never even saw it that way. It's really not his fault, is it?
He's the victim.
Yeah,
the victim.
He really was. I was like, man, I was so sad.
Did anybody get the parenting having something to do with? It's a bit of a commentary, a metaphor for bad parenting. All right, I'll take your silence as a no. So one more.
Leave Aubrey Plaza alone.
The last big one of the summer, which was It Chapter 2. Oh, wow.
I loved every second of it.
All right, we'll start with you since you spoke up. Go on.
I thought it was awesome. It was one time in the last couple years where the amount of CGI I just was not bothered, which was, I don't know why. I thought it was really, really fun, and I liked that even though the book is so weird and goes so many strange places, they tried really hard to keep a lot of that in there. Despite the fact that I feel like an average Joe audience member would be like, what? I appreciated that. And the only thing that I had a problem with it was I thought the formulaic nature of how it's edited together, of you're following a kid and the kid gets scared, the adult gets scared, and the kid gets scared, and the adult gets scared. And that happens the entire movie. So the structure of it is a little boring,
repetitive.
But oh, you know what? Something my best friend Lauren just said to me, which I had never thought about, was the fact that the kids or the adults, they win in the end by bullying Pennywise, right? They make him feel small, and they literally make him small. And how she was just like, that's such a bad thing to teach.
Yeah.
Of like, if you're a bully, just bully others. And I'd never thought of that before, but I was like, okay.
That is
that's all.
Decent point. Chauncey.
I thought it was okay. I still like, out of like chapter 1, chapter 2, and the original, like the mini series with Tim Curry, I still like that one better. That's the one I've always like watched repeatedly. And I think for the reasons of, I think it was just a little bit creepier. I think just like the first one, my issue with the first one is that it felt like the Goonies. It was very action adventure-y. There were a few jump scares here. Once again, I thought the CGI was too much in the first one. I thought it was kind of the same in the second one too. I'm not scared by I think, I like practical like effect, like, like you can, and I didn't think they needed to play with all that stuff with him. I just thought it kind of took away from. In fact, I thought it was kind of silly at times. Like there was just something so much creepier about Tim Curry's thing where he just he'd jump on the lamppost and like reach out to them or something, and just with his voice and his mannerisms. And there was like just a few scenes in, I think, chapter 2 where it's like he was talking to Bill. Also, Bill Hader was awesome. He was like the standout performance to me in this one. But like that one scene where it's like, he's like revealing that Bill Hader like might be, bisexual or gay. And then like Bill Hader's character Richie runs, and then like they do an up close of his eye doing this rant. He's like looking, and I was like, I guess that's supposed to be creepy. It was just like, they were just throwing stuff in it. I was just like, why? Why do you need this moment of weird like eye stuff? It was just, and it was so, I felt like it was so chaotic too. And I get it because the book is huge. There's so much to cover, but I think they, because they were trying to put a lot in there, it just felt chaotic to me at times where you couldn't. And I think one of the things for me with horror is I like to settle into an atmosphere because I think that helps build the anticipation, like a roller coaster, like they're anticipating the drop. And I think with it chapter 2, everything was happening, and it was just like you never got a chance to like just settle. It's like, oh, here comes Pennywise. Like, okay, and it's just like now he's running. I'm like, I'm not scared. I feel like this is just going. And I mean, there's some stuff, kids are getting killed, cool, but it was, I don't know. I think I gave it like a B or something. I didn't think it was horrible. I thought it was
We've
solid.
been doing numbers all night, but go ahead. You bring letters into it. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 then.
Sure. But I just thought it was a little chaotic for me. I never got to settle into it. And I also thought because there were slower moments that didn't need to be as slow when they did slow down. And I was just like, and because of that, I thought, I was like, well, this could be shorter then if you're going to slow down for that reason,
Vicky.
Yeah, I thought it was okay too. I didn't like it as much as chapter 1. And I totally agree with Felicia, the back and forth. Like the length of the movie was weird. Like when I know people were like divided on it when they announced that it was like going to be nearly a 3-hour movie, and I was fine with it, but then watching it play out, it was kind of the weirdest thing because like if they had made it any shorter, they would have had to cut a lot of stuff, which I don't know, it like Chauncey said, it dragged in weird places, but other parts it was like chugging along and I was fine with it, but it was the strangest phenomenon. I don't think
we're familiar with the characters though. Like the problem is like we know what they're afraid of. Why are you reminding us? Like if we've seen the first chapter, we know so and so is afraid of this and so is afraid of that. Why are you reminding us and taking us through this all over again from both? I think was it you, Felicia, that said as a kid and then as an adult, as a kid and yeah. So it's just like we've seen this. You could kind of remind us a little bit, not the full way.
And they had too much of the kids, and this like the CGI on some of them was awful to make them younger. Like
I'd heard about that. I didn't
just
notice
it out, and it would have like shortened the movie a little bit, made it move a little faster, and we didn't need as. I loved the kids, like in chapter 1, loved them. did not need to see them all like weird CGI'd up like
George Lucas.
whatever pageant looking kids. Like I didn't need that. I liked them, but not like that.
Emily.
I'm feeling stupid. I never noticed the CGI myself. I understand why the first film did so well. There's kind of a kick in horror lately of having really excellent child actors. There's the Stranger Things, Summer of '84. There's a bunch of that going on. So, and I feel like there was this big palaver on the internet, like, oh, the adult performers better do a good job. The casting better be fucking perfect. And I think they did okay. I think what's her face? Jessica Chastain was brilliant as Beverly. Like you guys have said, Bill Hader stole the show. I guess I liked it enough. The CGI it got tiresome after a while. I think naked lady that Beverly runs into would have been scarier if it was just a naked lady rushing her and not some giant thing. I think her great-grandfather being the Peter Skarsgård character, I wish that had been explored a little more, because that's kind of interesting, because that's the form Pennywise takes. What did this guy do that he's the terror of Derry? And the one thing that puzzled me was the weird LGBT themes that were going on
throughout.
The fact that those guys just got offed in the opening for seemingly no reason, because Pennywise doesn't really go after adults. So I wonder.
That's in the book, though, I think.
I
don't know how much of it's in the rest of the book, but that's in the opening of the book.
Yeah, they didn't explain it well. They didn't explain it well in the thing. In the book, the reason why he kills that guy is because that guy has a childlike way about him, about like a childlike spirit, and you kind of see that when he's playing with the little girl, but they didn't do it as well in the. It just kind of scooped him up.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'll take this guy.
Thank you.
I thought they only included him so he could turn up later and hand Bill Hader a flyer, and that was his big "I know your dirty secret" scene. So we got to have another gay guy in there so the audience isn't confused. That's what I thought that was. But yeah, other than that, pretty good. I'd watch it again.
Yeah. All right. So
can I say the dumbest scene of the whole movie?
No, go ahead.
Overruled.
Go ahead.
Okay, the dumbest scene of the whole movie was when the adult Ben pulls up his shirt and he's got like the carving going into him.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh yeah.
But the only reason they had it is so he could show that he has abs now.
Yeah.
I know.
And that's how his character has changed over the years.
That's right out of Nightmare on Elm Street too. The carving in the mirror, isn't that scene, right?
What's Nightmare?
Just Nightmare on Elm Street in general, where he does something to somebody in a dream, but like it's showing up in. At least I got a Nightmare on Elm Street.
That was Dream Warriors. That was Dream Warriors. We did it when the guy Billy, I think, was in the hospital. Like, come and get him, bitch. Like something like that. He called on him. But this was like totally not even like. Yeah, I totally agree with what Felicia said. It was just like, why? Like, we need a shirt. We need a gratuitous. Like, I mean, we get it. The guy's kind of hot, I guess. I mean, I prefer Bill Hader, but
And that was that actor's whole thing. The whole movie was like, I'm hot now.
And I love you, Bev. I love you. That was also what got me. Their whole thing was just so emphasized on that. Everything else, everyone was going through stuff. It was like their love story. I'm like, I didn't even ship this in the original. Like, I actually thought she should have been with the other guy still. So I just didn't get that.
Postcard.
I was just like, there's too much emphasis on that. Yeah, whatever. My heart beats it. Repeated it enough. I know that shit by heart now.
So before we go on, we didn't do this in the beginning because there was a huge echo. Dice, why don't you tell us about your channel before we talk about Phobias?
Well, I, of course, focus on horror. I do a lot of Let's Plays, currently working on Man of Medan. It's a fabulous game, really. And I am doing horror reviews, top 10 lists, narrations of horror stories, and actually this coming month, this October, right around the corner, I'm going to be doing a lovely Halloween movie-themed review every Wednesday throughout that month, leading up to, a big collaboration of some sort that I can't tell you about just yet on Halloween Day. So it'll be fun if it all works out.
Chauncey.
Oh, well, yeah, I have my Twisted Woman CKR channel. I do, I basically focus on horror and dark fantasy. You can also find those reviews on Rotten Tomatoes as well, as I'm a official film and TV critic there. And yeah, I mainly focus on horror and dark fantasy a lot of times. So I do say dark fantasy so I can do a couple of superhero ones here occasionally. I was like, oh, this is dark fantasy. This is Batman. Yeah,
dark fantasy.
Dark.
The Bat.
Yawn, Emily. Why don't you talk about yourself on this channel?
So I have a channel. I review horror movies like once every 2 months or something, and yeah, I don't upload enough, and I should feel ashamed. Yeah, that's all. I used to do horror story readings, but I kind of went off a cliff at some point. Maybe I should get back into that. I don't know. Occasionally, I'll review dark or mysterious videos from YouTube, like Marble Hornets or I Feel Fantastic. Weird videos like that. I think that's it.
Thanks. Felicia.
Yeah, I do reviews. I have a horror movie club. We meet every Tuesday live on my channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Each month's a different theme. Nightmare Maven is coming on my channel in October to talk about a horror anthology. What else do I do? I do interviews as well. I'm gonna have more and more interviews coming on my channel, but one that just got put up today was Larry Fessenden, who's a indie horror filmmaker. He just came out with a Frankenstein movie called Depraved. He's a cool dude, but yeah, trying to do more interviews. That's sort of my goal.
Yeah,
right
you
now.
interviewed what's his face from Terrifier, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, David Howard Thornton.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
Yeah, he's cool.
Lastly but not leastly, Vicky.
Yay, I review horror movies.
Shocker.
Wow. Yeah, I do that. I do like some top 5 lists and rankings, sometimes 2. And I review horror books too, if there's anybody that likes to read. And I have a book club. It's on Goodreads. We read a book each month if you like. Yeah. Or literature.
Paper movies.
Obviously, not CP's thing,
no.
but.
I tried to join and I failed so hard. I'm going to try again. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I'm coming back.
So all of their links are in the description down below. Please go show support. And if they have a Patreon, go do that there. And do not put a super chat here because I'm not going to split $1 6 ways. So just go check out their Patreon.
You mean 50 cents?
Yeah, you're right. After YouTube's cut, it's
we will
I
find
did not
a way
know
to
about
separate a
this
penny.
super chat situation because I recently was able to monetize my channel. They take like 50%.
Yeah, they're nuts.
That's fucking crazy.
I don't understand it. I still don't get it. It's like, oh, you can make money with super chat, and I'm like, how? Someone
what's fucked up is it's not like it's a certain amount. They do the fucking, they don't PayPal it where it's just $2. They take a percentage. If you get $2, they take 40 cents. If you get 200, they take 40. Like it's just insane. Like it's the same thing. It's a different color. The $2 and $200. So why are you making $36 more out of this? But yeah.
But you're going to be grateful because you wouldn't have a platform.
Right, exactly.
Oh yeah.
So
well, I'm not going to start talking about that. Yeah.
So
I want to keep my channel.
So down below, visit their channel.
Just set up on Vimeo.
yeah, because a lot of people go to Vimeo. But yeah.
Or TikTok. We just do it the music.
I can't be entertaining in a musical.
So Dice, you brought up this brilliant topic, and I'm assuming we should lead with Jaws, with phobias in horror, because it
why not?
Kind of created there wasn't I mean, listen, I wasn't old enough for this one, so I can finally say yeah, they must have thought this, but it caused a real stir where people were just afraid to go in the water after something like Jaws. So tell us a little bit about phobias and what got you into bringing this topic up.
Well, the thought occurred to me, as it tends to with most thoughts.
Yes, from the brain.
because I was trying to come up with another topic, of course, and I thought, well, yeah, Pennywise, yeah, people are afraid of clowns, phobias, okay, sure. So I personally am not afraid of clowns. They can be kind of creepy, but it takes a bit for me. But yes, I have Galeophobia, which I believe is fear of sharks, specifically great white sharks.
Okay.
So that goes in with the whole Jaws thing. I still haven't seen the movie. I'm sure I could watch it now. I just haven't gotten to it. But since the age of 4, of course, I was quite afraid of great white sharks. Every time I saw a picture of one, it was like a jump scare.
Oh, wow, really?
But yeah, no, it was that intense, like, kind of thing.
Huh.
Now it's better.
Did you know that great whites can't... Sorry. I was going to say, did you know that great white sharks can't survive in captivity? That's why you never see them in aquariums.
That makes sense.
It's a hell of a stat
glad
there.
for that. Yeah.
So you're okay.
Sorry
if you're in a fish
for
tank, you're
interrupting.
okay.
Oh, good. Okay. No, I feel better. But I think what kind of, I guess, segues into the whole shark thing is deep, dark water. Don't like that. If I can't see the bottom, I'm not okay with that. Heights, like over 2 stories, I'm done. And I actually used to have a very intense fear of kind of zombie apocalypse type situations. Again, it's gotten better now for obvious reasons. But so zombie movies are still kind of not so fun for me.
Okay.
But that's what I can come up with thus far.
Chauncey,
Everything else,
Chauncey, do you have any phobias? Any movies that like kind of you won't go to out of some?
Well, I'll usually scarecrows are kind of my thing. I'll still watch it, but scarecrows really creep me out. I'm not afraid of clowns. I'm not afraid of like demons and stuff like that. But scarecrows really just, I think witches get a bad rep, actually. Just growing up in the family, I always talk about that. I was like, there's a lot of stereotypes. Y'all gotta, you know.
we appreciate you.
Thank you. Representation. We're not all evil. They're not all evil. So scarecrows for sure. And then my thing is like bugs, like things crawling and stuff. I have never, not even just bugs, just like the crawly. And that's why I think we were talking about before we started, like the whole thing, like I'm not the big fan of body horror and stuff like that. Like it really grosses me out. Like I can't sit through it. And so I have never finished The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Okay.
I've never been able to finish it because I just cannot deal with the head and the thing with the stomach going through. I'm like, I've tried multiple times. I cannot. I just
Very
cannot.
slimy.
That. No. I mean, I almost didn't finish Jason Goes to Hell because there was just so much body gore going on. I was like, what are they doing? What is this? It's not Jason. Like, he didn't,
Preach.
So that's my thing.
That's not the reason to not finish Jason Goes to Hell, by the way. But I get what you're saying.
I pushed through. But I'm saying with The Thing, it was just too much. I couldn't do it.
Is there a movie that maybe got you? Is there? I guess you kind of said it. Has anything ever come off of the tail of watching a movie where you're like, oh, you know what? I didn't really care about this, but suddenly I'm bothered by this now.
Well, maybe just like the bug stuff. I think that I feel like that and some of those, like, I guess they were there before, like snuff type films or whatever. But like there was that whole thing, like when Hostel came out, and it was like this whole thing of like kidnapping people and like that torture stuff. I can't really, because that's real. Like that's why I tend to like the genre of horror that's supernatural a bit, because you can use that with real world themes, but you can also create a universe or whatever rules. And I think sometimes, yes, Batman. But I think there's certain ones where it's just like, just like the whole thing of like people getting kidnapped in Mexico or on their trip or something. I'm like, like it's good, it's hard, it's scary, it can get to you, but I don't know. Sometimes I think that's gratuitous too. And I don't watch I Spit on Your Grave type films. I don't watch rape. I don't like rape.
Yeah, good horror. For you.
I think it's gratuitous. I think it's gratuitous.
Yes, I agree immensely. Emily.
Okay, so I don't tend to get scared from films. Usually I'm able to put up a wall of you know, like, oh, the actor's doing a great job, or oh, I wonder how they did this effect, or you know, just scientific curiosity kind of thing. I guess if I have a phobia, it's of, you know, those trapped in an asylum type movie situations.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the game Outlast freaks me out. Unsane, I was really freaked out by that. I find it very hard to sit through that one. Just the idea of being chemically restrained and kept against your will, and that freaks me out, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a word for that.
Yeah. Are there any movies that you've watched that have like made you aware to something that you didn't know going into a movie? Like, oh, suddenly I don't like ice cream trucks. Inexplicably, I didn't say that on purpose. That was.
I couldn't finish We Need to Talk About Kevin, and I don't think I ever will. That's the most horrible film in the world. I just can't.
Now, Salo is the most horrible film in the world.
Salo's disgusting and depraved, but it's not. It doesn't get under your skin the way that film does with me. I can't explain it.
Okay.
I don't know.
So a kid running around shooting up a school. You didn't know you had a problem with that until We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Not the school part.
Oh, the lead up. Sorry, spoiler.
I have a serial killer for a
son. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do if your kid is a serial killer? Like, what?
Yeah. And in that movie, like, everyone puts the onus on the mother. It's all her fault, even though, you know, there's an argument to be had about nature versus nurture, and it's a kind of a hellish situation she's going through.
Yeah.
And I can't help but empathize with that.
Yeah.
Did you watch Brightburn?
I did.
Like, that was kind of like that kind of thing too, right? Like he was an evil Superman or something. I didn't like that. I didn't watch it. I was like, whatever. We don't need an evil Superman. You know?
Yeah, and they didn't really explore it too well neither. It was just kind of like, okay. Felicia.
Sorry, I'm having a sidebar Buffy conversation in the chat
right.
I was tempted to jump on there. I did Buffy the musical. I went to an art high school. I did Buffy the musical. Like,
no way.
I did Buffy.
Of course you were Buffy. I'm so sick. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
What are my phobias?
Yeah, and if any were born in watching, you know, something that you just didn't realize. Oh, wow, I'm afraid of this now.
I am not super interested in being in very small spaces. Okay. I particularly remember watching The Descent when they're kind of crawling through all the rocks in these really tiny holes, and like it's like their bodies barely fit. Like that is really terrifying to me. Though The Descent I think is an incredible movie and I love it. But that kind of stuff for me always makes me feel very cringy. What else? I don't know. I'm sure there's something. Okay. Mostly small spaces. I'll try to think of something else.
So you don't want to watch Buried is an assumption.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was just listening to I was catching up on My Favorite Murder. If you guys listen to that podcast, but they just did a couple episodes that talks a lot about being buried alive and all like the systems back in the day they tried to create to make sure because they kept burying people alive by accident.
Oh yeah, the little bell by the graveside.
They attached the toe so that you could wiggle your toe and let people know.
Which they featured in The Nun.
Yeah, they did that in The Nun too. Yeah,
which was maybe the only scary part of The Nun.
Yeah.
Aww, I like
it. There was this creepy story I read once. There's this guy who's tending a graveyard and he hears one of those bells ringing. And he goes over to the graveside and he hears a voice saying, "I've been buried alive, please help me out."
Oh my gosh.
And the guy goes, "Well, this says you died 50 years ago, so you're not coming up, mate."
I narrated that story. That was
yeah.
What was that, Dice?
That's great.
I narrated that story. Emily mentioned.
Oh, you did?
So, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I haven't added it to anything, but it's there. It's on its own. I'll add it to something sometime.
Vicky.
Yeah. So I mean, the big one, I guess, for me is spiders. I've always had a phobia of spiders. I'm with Dice. I can't even look at pictures of them either. It's like getting a jump scare. Like I'll immediately click away. I can't do it. That's probably the only thing I'll try and avoid watching a movie. Like I still haven't seen like Eight-Legged Freak. Like there'll just be ones like I'll only watch something like that if it gets like thrust upon me. Like everyone's like, watch Arachnophobia or something.
Yeah.
And I'll begrudgingly watch it. Like I don't want to.
Aw.
Doggo.
Aw, doggo.
Aw.
That makes everything.
A small doggo attack.
That's what I'm afraid of.
He's very cute.
Being a Floridian basements is probably another one. You can't avoid that one though. Like nothing good happens there's no basements in Florida. Well, not in
Why is
most of
that?
Florida. Because we're on limestone, and if you dig down, like pretty much any length, like your standard basement size, you're gonna hit the aquifer, so you can't dig under houses. Like maybe in North Florida you get some, but yeah, we have no basement. And I've lived here most of my life.
What's the aquifer?
The Florida aquifer with all the fresh water that you can't taint because it's
Oh, so there's
our supply of fresh water.
I see. Yeah, basements.
Sorry, yeah, I forget. Like maybe not everyone has learned this in their science class, but every Florida school learns about that.
That's crazy.
Why you can't
Don't dig kids.
Yeah. And nothing good happens in basements, so it's like that's
True.
Yeah, I won't go into one unless it's a finished basement. Like I need like actual walls and lights everywhere.
That's where the man cave is the basement.
Or maybe you grow mushrooms down there.
Yeah, or grow pot. Yeah. I mean, I've heard.
No, come on now. We don't grow pot in basements. It's got to be in the attic, warmth.
Well, you have the.
I live in Colorado, by the way.
Yeah, you can just go buy it.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a movie that isn't horror that featured something that you were kind of like skeeved out about? Dice.
An excellent question.
Thank you.
Yes. It's just, I mean, anything. I think I tried to watch like Flipper or something at some point when I was younger, and it was like a shark, and I was like, nope.
Oh, come on.
Flipper.
Nothing. I don't think I've really. No, I take that back. This isn't really a phobia, thankfully, but I guess it could be considered kind of an uncanny valley type thing.
Okay.
But when I first watched, the original live action Wizard of Oz, the Tin Man, when they were going to oil him up, that freaked me out. I wouldn't watch that movie for years after. Didn't like it.
Were you scared of the Tin Man, or were you scared of being stuck in one place?
No, I was scared of the Tin Man. It was just weird to me. He didn't move naturally, so it freaked me out, I think. Fine with it now, but then I was like, nope.
Yeah, see, so to give you guys perspective, when I watched The Walk, which is about the guy who walked between the Twin Towers on a pole or whatever, I went and saw it in 3D. I'm not afraid of heights, but when he went over the whatever the fuck in between the two Twin Towers on a rope, bouncing on a stick, and you have like a forced perspective with the 3D. I don't have a fear of heights, but that movie really made me unsettled, and I was seated. I know I was fine, but for some reason that movie really, in 3D especially, just kind of rocked me.
You would love
that
VR.
Footage is crazy. You can look up the actual footage of that happening on YouTube. It's insane.
Like it actually happened. Like that's fucking insanity.
Yeah, no thanks. I'll stay down here.
Yeah.
Crazy French man.
Chauncey.
Like a film that's not horror?
Yeah. Just random family like Dice has got a perfect one. Flipper.
Family movie, yeah.
Yeah, Flipper was about kid stuff.
Yeah, I mean nothing that's like scared me. I tend to avoid films with animals, especially when they're supposed to be like the emotional kind, because I'm pretty sure they're gonna die or something, and that's gonna be the heartstrings. And that's one of my gripes with horror films too, like when they kill an animal for like emotional factors. I hate that. I hate it so much. I'm like, I came to see people die, not
Kill the child.
Wait. All right, sorry, let me ask. Hold on, let me intervene here for a second. Let me ask both of you. Why is it okay for people to get killed, but not animals?
Animals are innocent.
But
they're amoral.
They're
They don't
fictional.
Well, most of the time the dog is just for a cheap emotional response.
Exactly.
Anyway.
He's trying to protect
he's
his
full of
family.
both of you.
Look at this. You want anything to happen to this?
My 3 cats are out there because I didn't want them jumping around, but I have a real issue with animals that I think it's lazy writing. It's like, let's kill the dog. Why does the dog have to die?
To show how fucked up the person is.
Yeah, like in I Am Legend, when the dog, it doesn't die exactly, but it turns. That's tragic.
And that's the thing about the thing too. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that serves more of a purpose, though, like Emily's example. That one makes sense instead of just like, oh, let's make sure this dog has a family so when the serial killers invade their home, the dog can die first.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, we have to see how depraved they are. They're about to kill people. We know they're depraved. I don't need them to kill a dog to tell me there's something wrong. Like, I mean, there's just certain films, like, I will give them a lower score.
So,
minus 2 stars to the dog.
Kill the cat? Okay, this was a B now. It's a
so
C.
how's the Halloween franchise for you then? Because he just kills dogs like in every other movie in that franchise.
Yeah, it's,
Well, they kill a cat.
I think that's why I like Jason better than for a number
Good
of
old
reasons.
mommy
But
issues.
Jason goes after horny counselors. He knows who's the real villain there. Jason's always the more innocent person. So
You're
innocent
okay
killer.
in my book, Chauncey. Thank you. As you can see, my Jason mask behind me.
He's usually here with me too, but I just put him up here because I have my new mask. So sure.
Emily, anything like non-horror that?
Okay, so 3 examples come to mind from when I was growing up. You know the live-action 101 Dalmatians with Glenn Close?
Yeah.
The moment she falls in the vat of molasses, that fucking freaked me out for some reason. First time I saw Death Becomes Her, before I understood it as a dark comedy, it just got me. I didn't like it.
Them being dead and like having holes in their bodies and stuff?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Like the music did most of the work in making it scary. And fucking Jumanji, fucking everything about that movie creeped me out. The guy with the gun, the stampeding animals, the monsoon, the spiders, everything.
Huh.
It was horrible.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Felicia.
I can't really think of a non-horror example that's like coming to mind. The dog thing, absolutely. The only thing I could think of is that really freaked me out recently was I watched that documentary that I think it's just called The Nightmare. I put it on a list on my channel, and I watched it for that specific video. And it's a documentary on sleep paralysis. And but I don't know. and they say if you learn too much about sleep paralysis, you can accidentally give it to yourself.
That. No.
Yeah, right? And then so I'm watching this, I'm very scared. My boyfriend comes home and he goes, "You know, I had sleep paralysis." And starts telling me I has experience, and I was like, "Don't tell me about this, because then I'm gonna have the experience." So I was terrified for a solid 24 hours, but
I'm not going to tell you about my experiences then.
Don't you dare.
No, that's fine. Okay.
I've only experienced it once.
Oh, God.
Oh.
However,
when I was younger, I had it.
What's going on here?
Sorry. Oh, it's like the ring. You can't say it. Or
Candyman. We said it twice already.
It was funny though because I didn't even care. I guess looking at it now, it was that, but I didn't realize it because I just didn't bother to move. But I just I saw a couple things and thought, and
we're doing this now.
Yeah.
I used to sleep with the way I used to sleep was with the blanket over my head, so when my eyes would open, I couldn't see anything except like a shadow or something. Because when I literally had to I tucked the blanket under my arm so it would stay there, and I'd sleep like that. So when my eyes open, I couldn't see in my room, and it would just do like this for a bit, and then I eventually go back to sleep. But it was my way of not seeing whatever was up in there.
Yeah.
I was going.
When
I was doing that for a while about a year ago because there were wasps or bees getting into the house, and I'd start imagining buzzing even when it wasn't there. So I would just.
It was the heater.
No, I'm under the. It's not getting me.
The heater that was buzzing, but yeah.
I heard it change. I heard it like.
Immediate reflex.
Yeah, when I had my spinal surgery, they went into the front and they taped my eyes closed just in case, and I didn't.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah, they prepped. Like, I wish they just knocked me out first before they prepped, because they were like, "All right, we're gonna put tape." I'm like, "What? I'm sorry. Wait, what?" What are you gonna do? You're cutting my stomach from my back. What's going on with the eyes here?
You wake up, you tear the tape off, and they're just eating your organs.
Yeah, that would
New fear.
Yeah, that wasn't a fun experience. Vicky.
You guys can just rock me to sleep.
I don't think you want me there helping you.
Right, we're non-horror. That's scary. Okay, yeah.
Top any of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, I can't. Jumanji was on the top of my list. The only other one I can think of that came to mind was Home Alone.
Huh.
The furnace.
Yeah, that's like a non-horror like home invasion movie. It's terrifying. And there's the whole basement thing with the furnace, and there's a spider in it. So.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, the tarantula. Yeah.
Which
with mac and cheese.
Delicious cheese pizza all to myself.
Someone's mentioning the Willy Wonka boat sequence.
Oh,
terrifying.
Yes.
Willy Wonka. That whole thing was. That was a fucked up movie. That was
yeah. You.
Dude, I was saying Halloween Horror Nights should do the boat scene for Willy Wonka.
Yes.
Like that would be so freaking scary. It's like a haunted house.
Tunnels and also, yeah.
Holy shit.
This might be a British thing. Has anyone seen Doctor Who? Because those episodes can get pretty fucking scary. Like the Empty Child that springs to mind.
I don't like the statues.
Yeah.
I was actually very afraid of statues growing up. I know that sounds stupid, but I was very afraid of statues. I was afraid of them coming to life.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
That falls into Uncanny Valley kind of stuff, like mannequins.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What happened to your arms, madam? So that probably does it. We've been doing this for an hour and 45 minutes. Anything you guys are looking forward to in October? Maybe. I realize this is so silly asking a bunch of horror people if anything's happening in October, but anything special, something you haven't seen before that perhaps is a big deal or what? Just something that sticks out for you this October, Dice?
I'm unfortunately, in case you couldn't tell, shit at keeping up with movies that are coming out. So I'm not even sure what is coming out in October this year.
Oh,
What is coming out?
Holy fuck, Joker.
Joker, October 4th.
Oh, Joker. Yeah.
And then a bunch of shit. And then it's shit. I don't know. There should be a horror.
Is that genuinely all we're getting in October?
No, we get 4 more movies at least in October.
Well, I know Red Room.
Dr. Sleep.
Sorry.
Oh, Dr.
That's coming out in November.
Okay.
There's a few coming out in November. Actually.
The Addams Family on the 11th.
Okay. I'm excited.
I love Addams Family, but
yeah,
I love them, but the animation's garbage. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm so excited.
Maleficent on the 18th.
Oh yeah.
Zombieland 2 on the 18th. Countdown the Friday before Halloween.
What?
Countdown?
Oh, yeah, I saw a little bit that the trailer.
Theater?
Yeah, you excited?
Apparently not. No.
Yeah.
Looks interesting.
Yeah, sure. Okay. It's weird because last October we had like 3. We had The Nun, Halloween, and then that Hellfest. All came out in October.
Yeah.
This year, forget it.
Yeah,
there's stuff coming out on Netflix.
That's true. Oh, In Tall Grass.
Yes, I was just about to say Stephen King's In Tall Grass is coming out. So another maybe mediocre Stephen. I'm kind of a little over them doing all his stuff at this point. It's like pick somebody else.
The right director,
Yes.
maybe. Yeah.
Yes.
Have Frank Darabont do his movies. That's.
Can't we have some more Clive Barker or something?
Oh. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
So, Dice, did you say what you have coming up? Anything jumps out in October?
Like to watch or what I'm doing with myself?
Either or, just something special about October for you and or your channel.
Well, I actually just today got the first review lined up for October 2nd, and I suppose I could go ahead and say it. Trick or Treat. The 1986.
Oh, the hard rock movie
Yep.
Okay, not trick or treat.
So I'll have that, and hopefully, because I remembered, oh yeah, I should do that too. Things you didn't know about it, because there's actually a good bit of interesting stuff.
You could start with
so I'll make
it exists. It's not the
Yeah,
2007 version.
That's what I said in the review, not to be confused with.
Yeah, right.
So that's two things I believe that'll be coming out first, and then stuff after. Lots of stuff going on. I don't necessarily want to say exactly what I'll be reviewing after that, because there's hints in my little promo video that I did.
Listen, marketing, I get it. You're all good. Chauncey.
Well, mainly keeping up with a lot of the because I also do like horror and dark fantasy TV as well. So just stuff that's coming out on Netflix. I recently watched Marianne, which I think everyone should watch. I know that's not October, but I feel like people should be watching that all the way up to Halloween, because it's just like one of the better horror TV series I've seen like in a while. But yeah, I'm looking Joker. I'm more so dreading it a little bit because I'm just dreading like what theme. I'm just not. They've been pushing this whole incel thing with him, like validating incel type stuff. So I'm looking forward to digging deep into it more so than like actually sitting through it. So that's probably, and I am looking forward to the Addams Family thing. I am. I'm a sucker for Addams Family. So,
Emily.
So. Like there's not much coming out in October, it seems, but there's Zombieland 2. I like the first one, so hopefully that measures up. I've got a bunch of stuff I should be doing on my channel, and I need to figure out what I'm doing for my Halloween review, because I usually dress up, so I need to think of something to do.
You got about 5 weeks. No pressure.
That should be just enough.
Okay. If I can't think of anything, I'll have to be Elvira again.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
I don't think people are gonna mind that at all. Felicia.
So October, I'm excited. So I live in Brooklyn, and we have the Brooklyn Horror Film Festival coming up with some good stuff. I'm gonna get to go watch some movies that I haven't heard much about, so I'm pretty excited. Awesome. A lot of foreign films, so it should be cool. I'm doing 31 Days of Halloween on my channel, so pray for me. I'm very excited. I feel good about it. Last year I was like way more stressed. This year I feel like it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Enjoy that November sleep.
I know, right?
Hibernation.
Oh, and a couple things that I already started watching, but I watched, but I just want to kind of recommend real quick. So Haunt, if you guys haven't seen that, I just want to throw it out. It is excellent. It's by the writers of A Quiet Place, Eli Roth producer, and it just hit VOD, and it is the best haunted house movie, like Haunt movie. Obviously, it's called Haunt. But it's really freaking good. I had the best time watching it. And also I'm watching Marianne on Netflix. And that is the scariest show I've ever seen. I am terrified. Maybe it's because I'm watching it alone in the dark, but
no, it's terrifying.
It's so scary.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Is it? That's a Netflix exclusive, Marianne?
Well,
Yeah,
it's French. It's French. I liked the dub. A lot of people were telling me it's the worst dub ever. I didn't hate it.
Oh, so it's not even subtitles.
Are you gonna?
You can dub. I did a review. It went up Monday. My review for Marianne went up Monday. It's spoiler free for the first half of it, but then I talk about why they shouldn't do a season 2 in the end of it. So yeah.
Oh, cool.
Vicky.
Hey. I guess I'm not looking forward to much in October. I'll go see Zombieland 2 because I like the first one too. And I'll go see the Addams Family because I love them, but I'm not super excited about it. But that's mostly due to the marketing for the movie. I wasn't.
Yeah, there's just something off about it.
You know awesome about Snoop Dogg being cousin It? Like,
oh, really?
Okay, that's exciting.
Perfect casting.
The trailer, it was the character posters where they had all the catchy phrases like "it's gonna be lit" and stuff like that. Where I was like, okay.
Painful.
Yeah, that one. The posters were cringe.
Yeah. Kids today are gonna be so cringe.
Yeah.
I'd just like to know what the plot was. The trailer didn't really give much of a hint as to what would happen.
They're moving
family,
in.
they're weird, and people think they're weird.
I think they just
Yeah.
bought their house. I don't.
I guess they don't need a plot, but
Yeah. Figure it out.
All right, so that about does it. I'd like to thank Dice Rollen, Twisted Woman CKR, Emily's Adventures in Harlan, Girly Gore, and Nightmare Maven for joining us once again. We'll slowly segue this. I'm assuming by 2020, by January, this will be over on Emily's channel. So obviously sub to everybody, but we're going to do at least another one or two of these until the full transition is over there. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, ladies, for making this episode happen. And we'll see you guys next time.